Hey guys, I'm Bijan from Product Management Exercises, and today I'm going to tell you how to answer an execution, or as some of us call it, a metrics question in a PM job interview. Metrics questions evaluate your analytical skills to measure the performance of a product or a feature from different perspectives, such as user adoption, engagement, and revenue. Here's how you can answer it. Step 1. Describe the product or the feature. Explain your understanding of it, what problem it solves, and how it solves it. Ask the interviewer any clarification questions that you may have, and list out any assumptions that you'd like to make to narrow down the scope of the question. This is your chance to make sure that you and the interviewer are on the same page on what you're going to measure. Let's assume that you're asked, how would you measure the success of Facebook likes? You can explain that it helps the users express their interests and excitement about a post, it helps them bookmark their favorite content, and it also helps Facebook get a good overview of the user's interests. And hopefully this all results in more revenue for Facebook. To narrow down the scope of the Facebook like question, you can say that you're going to focus on Facebook likes related to posts and comments and not on Facebook pages and Facebook ads. Next is step 2, which is defining the goal of the feature. Remember that you're measuring the success of the feature or the product in achieving a specific goal. So it's important to highlight what that goal is. Sometimes the interviewer gives you that goal as part of the question. For example, the question could have been, how would you measure the success of Facebook likes in driving engagement? Something to keep in mind here is that there might be multiple goals for a particular feature or product. So Facebook like could drive engagement for the users and at the same time generate more revenue for Facebook. Next step is step 3, think through the user journey. This step helps you think about the user behaviors that impact the success of the feature or the product, which you'll be discussing in your step 4. Here in step 3, you can either describe the journey to the interviewer or ask for a minute to write them down on a piece of paper so you can refer to it in step 4, which is defining the metrics for each phase of the user journey. This step is about highlighting the behaviors that impact your goal and mapping those behaviors to metrics that help you measure the success of the feature or the product. When thinking about the user journey, it's good to remember the different phases that a user goes through. And at a high level, here's how I would break it down. The first is awareness, then it's acquisition, then activation, engagement, retention, monetization, and referral. Some of these phases might not apply to the particular feature or the goal that you're evaluating, but it's important for you to remember them so you can pick the relevant ones for your question. You might wonder how many metrics you should be listing. It's a good idea to list 1 to 3 metrics for each phase of the user journey, and a minimum of 5 if you're focusing on one key phase of the journey. I'm going to look at each phase in more detail. Awareness is the first step of a user journey. If users are not aware of a feature, they won't use it. So consider awareness metrics that measure the level of awareness of a feature or product. Now, if this is an important phase, go deeper and even look at how channels are performing at bringing awareness. For our Facebook like example, you don't need to pay too much attention to this phase since it's fair to assume that strong majority of users know what Facebook like is and how it works. Next is acquisition. Acquisition represents the level of user interest in the feature or the product. And its metrics could be number of signups, number of downloads, or number of clicks to start. It's basically an indication of the level of success in gaining the attention of the users and can also indicate the opportunity size. Next one is activation or adoption. If you can't convert acquired users into activated users, it's an indication that the interested users are somehow getting discouraged from activating their features or their product. In some cases, activation metrics help you see how your onboarding flow is working. For example, if you're a PM for a mobile banking product, activation might mean something like first transaction or setting up bill payment. For Facebook like, the activation metrics can be number of users or percentage of users who have liked the post at least once. Next one is engagement, which you already know what it means, and it's an important one. In the Facebook like example, there are many engagement metrics that you can think of. Average number of likes per user in a period of time can tell you how popular Facebook likes is. You can look at average number of likes per post or even per post type to see what drives the usage of Facebook like. And you can define type as media type such as video versus audio versus image versus text, or break it down based on topics of interest such as food, politics, technology, and etc. And other engagement metrics can be around something that helps you determine if you're achieving the goal that you highlighted in the beginning. For example, does an increase in like volume per user result in more time spent on Facebook? Or does more Facebook likes on a post result in more frequent posts by the user? Or does an increase in the number of likes per user result in more frequent commenting by the user? Another engagement metric could be, does a like by a user result in more engagement by their Facebook friends who view their like? There are many engagement metrics that I can think of. The next one is retention. The importance of retention depends on the context of the feature or the product itself. In some cases, retention is a key driver of revenue. For a service-based product such as Expedia, retention has significant impact on the company. Whereas if you're looking at user intention for just Facebook likes, the revenue impact is less significant. Some retention metrics to keep in mind are percentage of users who repurchase, distribution of user reviews, and product return rates. For our Facebook example, you can suggest metrics such as percentage of users who liked the post in the last 30 days and compare it to previous month to see if you're still retaining the users. Revenue metrics are very important for service-based products and e-commerce sites. For some features such as Facebook like, measuring the revenue impact is less important. And as long as you increase engagement on the core product, you can say that you've been successful. But if you wanted to highlight a couple monetization metrics here, you can look at the additional revenue generated by users that are liking more posts on Facebook. If revenue is relevant to your question, some metrics examples are average revenue per user, percentage of paid users, average spending per certain time period, frequency of purchases, and revenue generated via ads. Next one is referral. If users like a product or a feature, they're willing to tell their friends and family about it. You can think of referral as an indication of success or usefulness for the user. Some referral metrics you can highlight are number or percentage of users who are referring the product or feature, or number of percentage of converted referrals. Now, next step is step 5, evaluating your metrics. Now that you've gathered a list of metrics that help you measure the success of your product or feature against your goal, evaluate them based on some meaningful criteria such as relevance to the company mission, impact to the user, confidence in the accuracy of the metric, or the level of effort to collect them. This is where you ideally draw a table with the metrics as your rows and your evaluation criteria as the columns. For our Facebook like example, the revenue metrics are less important, and measuring the impact of the like on secondary users are also harder to calculate. So when you go to step 6, which is prioritizing the metrics, you can highlight that you'd like to focus on number of likes per user, number of likes per post type, or the relationship between the number of likes per user versus time spent on Facebook as the key metrics that help you determine if Facebook likes is a success. Thank you for listening. For a more detailed version of the interview guide, check out the link in the video description. For more interview guides, interview questions and answers, and practicing mock interviews, check out productmanagementexercises.com.